My name is Sarah, and I'm excited to share with you all of the books I found to read to put me in the spring mood. The first book I found is called Renovating the Richardsons by Virginia Smith. I was initially drawn to this book because of the beautiful cover. I love all the pastels and the old beautiful house. There's even a white picket fence with little squirrels on it, so it already looks super cozy and spring. This book is about a lady named Millie. Her and her husband move to this small town and they buy this really old home, and they're updating it to turn it into a bed and breakfast. While they're renovating their home, they're also involved in a bunch of small town drama that makes for a cute and funny read. This made me immediately think of Gilmore Girls because Lorelai lives in a cute little small town and she runs her own inn. Anything that reminds me of Gilmore Girls, I feel is going to be a very good read. The second book, or I should say multiple books on my list, is this Jane Austen, The Complete Novels series. This is full of every work by Jane Austen. I feel like Jane Austen is very much spring themed because there's ladies that are frolicking about the English countryside wearing these gorgeous dresses, sipping tea, there's romance, there's cute little farm animals. So anything by Jane Austen I feel like is the perfect thing to get you in the mood for spring. This entire collection includes Sense and Sensibility, Pride and Prejudice, Mansfield Park, Emma, North Ranger Abbey, Persuasion, and Lady Susan. I have not read Lady Susan yet, so I'm excited to read this one too. In keeping with the Jane Austen theme, this is another book that I found. It's Jane in Love by Rachel Givney, and it's about Jane herself, not one of her heroines, but it's about her as the author. And she ends up finding herself leaving Bath, England in 1803, and ends up in present day. Throughout the story, she ends up meeting this guy whom she more than likely falls for, and ends up having to choose between present day or her time. This is actually an adult coloring book, so it's not an actual book or novel, but it is called Color Me Jane, and it is by Jackie Oakley. And there are some gorgeous illustrations in here from the different books. Also on the list for spring books is definitely Secret Garden. This is my newest edition, and I think the cover is gorgeous. I realized that I've actually never read this book. I saw the movie, like the 1990s movie, and loved it. And I thought I need to finally read this book. There's a few illustrations throughout. This young girl becomes an orphan and is sent to live with her rich uncle in England, and she discovers this old abandoned garden that ultimately she works to revitalize and bring back to life. In doing so, revitalizes her own life as well. It's a really touching story, and it's filled with images of gorgeous gardens and English countryside. This is a copy of The Secret Garden that I found at the thrift store for about $1, and I think the cover is beautiful. It even has beautiful garden illustrations. And I found a picture of the robin that she meets that shows her where the secret garden is. This book is called Garden Spells by Sarah Addison Allen, and I found this at the library. It kind of reminds me of Tuck Everlasting. It's about a girl, Claire, that her and her family have special like powers almost, and they grow things in the garden that are able to do amazing things. There's a lot of mystery involved, and she's kind of discovering who she is in her past throughout. I think it will be an interesting take on gardening because it's a lot more magical and mysterious. I'm probably the most excited about this book. It's Bramley Hedge, the classic collection. So there's all of the stories in this book. and my husband Clayton recently surprised me with this. I have been eyeing it and wanting it. I love Peter Rabbit, Beatrix Potter, all of that, and this was on my list. Stories in this book include the spring story, summer, autumn, winter, the secret staircase, high hills, the sea story, and Poppy's babies. So I'm definitely going to start with the spring story. It's about these little mice that live in the woods and all their little adventures, and it has these beautiful, gorgeous illustrations of their cozy, cottagey homes and trees. I found this old library book at the thrift store and I could not resist it, especially because of the cover and the title. It's called The Knitting Circle by Anne Hood. It's about this lady, Mary, who lives in Providence, Rhode Island, and she's recently faced a tragedy in her life, and her mom encourages her to get into a knitting club. Through the knitting club, she finds friendship and healing, and it just sounds like such a sweet story. All the cozy feels. This could really be any season, but I thought I would include it in my spring TBR. I found this book recently called Much Ado About You, and it's about this girl named Evangeline who works in more corporate America, and she just needs a change in her life. She ends up moving to an English village and works temporarily at a bookstore. While she's working at the bookstore, this guy named Rowan comes in and starts flirting with her, and she really wants to let her guard down and to possibly even fall in love, but she's afraid to get hurt. We'll have to see if she finds her forever love. One of my absolute all-time favorite authors is Beatrix Potter, and all of her works very much remind me of the spring. It's a bunch of cozy little animals in the English countryside, and my husband Clayton also surprised me with The Complete Tales by Beatrix Potter. I would read them all, but there are a ton of them in here. Of course, there's the classic Peter Rabbit, and this book is filled with beautiful illustration. Thank you for watching, and I hope y'all have fun reading your spring books this season.